from the Boardwalk Honda Hotline to Ricky Bo, Mr. 16 innings himself. He loves those extra inning games. Ricky Bo, how you doing, buddy?
Woo! Yeah, I love those games. Are you kidding me? Well, by the way, where is Mike Gill? Did he go on vacation to South America or something?
He is in South Jersey. I can confirm that. He coaches Babe Ruth baseball, and they're through to like a regional section. And then if they win this section, they go to Mountain Home, Arkansas. You ever been to Arkansas?
No, but I mean the thing that gets me is that hey, my job goes until October. There's other jobs. If this one opens, watch out. It'll be Pistol Pete and Ricky Bo.
I would love that, sir, especially if there's knuckle push-ups that are taking place. I mean, I've worked with you before, so I know, like, when the game goes to extra innings, you already get, there's good Ricky Bo and cantankerous Ricky Bo, and I can only imagine what it was like for you the other night as that game went on. And on.
You go into different stages. I think, in that game, you're like, all right, they tied it up. But, I mean, usually when a team ties it up like they did, there is like a lull in the game. And that lull in the game just went on forever. And then you kind of sense that, well, it's the 15th. It's got to end somewhere. So at that point, it was now music time. And I played DJ. And Amy Fadul did the electric slide all around the newsroom, so
right?
Yeah, the content room, whatever you want to call it. But you got to have some fun with it, because if you don't, you'll go stir crazy. That's one of those games that's just, no matter what happened early on in the game, everybody forgets about it. That's the thing. You sit there. I mean, whoever started that game could have gotten shell shocked, and that's not even the story anymore.
Right?
It's just that funny.
Plouffe with the walk-off, but of course it comes against Kiki Hernandez, right? So you've got a position player out there. I thought it was funny that Hernandez threw himself under the bus afterwards, both on Twitter and Instagram. I mean, he owned it. Before anybody could troll him, he trolled himself.
Well, he's thrown into a no-win situation. By the way, it was a horrible, horrible night to be last named Hernandez, because between Kike and Cesar, 0 for 14 with a loss and three runs given up. That's not a good last name for that ball game. But I mean, the best part about that was, Pete, you know how we are in the newsroom, and it's kind of like, oh man, if this could keep going on. We saw this happening against the Nationals not too long ago, and then all of a sudden you take the guy off the bench who's fresh, and Knapp hit that home run in that game. Now we're thinking, how is this game ever going to end? And Roberts throws in Kike, and we were like, oh, this game's over now. Right. It's funny, somebody has to throw the white flag at some point, and it was the Dodgers in that one.
Now, your colleague Ben Davis is the former catcher, but am I overreacting that Andrew Knapp is having some struggles behind the plate defensively?
It's not just Knapp, it's both of them. I mean, when you take a real good look at what's going on, Alfaro's got a cannon. I don't think that is what it is. And the one thing about Alfaro, though, it's almost like he doesn't move as well side to side as you should as a catcher. So it's not about going straight down for him. It's about side to side. Yeah, Knapp's just boxed some balls lately. And the one thing I see from both of them, and it's not necessarily laziness, it's just not getting a good read on the bite of the baseball, is that they're stabbing at pitches instead of letting the ball come to them. And when you start doing that, you're almost guessing, and you don't feel comfortable. So, I mean, their levels behind the plate are not good defensively right now. No matter what you think you're watching, I really believe that the official score has been extremely lenient on the catchers this year.
Ricky Bo, it's Ryan. How you doing, man?
Good, Ryan. How are you?
Good. I saw they tweeted out you putting on, like a Tampa Bay Bucks jersey and running around the back studio there?
Well, I think my comment was I'll put on the two loser things, the Buccaneers and the Hartford Whalers hat I had on. Yeah, so it was I don't know what I was doing. You go a little nuts at that point during the night, especially, what the biggest problem was? Is that we knew I had to be back in at like 8 o'clock the next morning.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah, that's
we
brutal.
We knew that the longer this game goes, the less sleep we're getting at this point.
Yeah, you were in trouble.
We all recouped.
Right.
We all recouped. We made it back. We a little stir crazy at night, but that's when you have to make things fun. You got to try to be a little bit of a morale booster and keep everybody awake at that point.
Yeah, you definitely were. That's great, man. You guys are having some fun. So, Ricky, last time you were on the show, I was asking you about the atmosphere at the park and really the lack thereof. And these past 3 days, it was lively. I mean, I don't know if you want to chalk that up just to Chase Utley or, it's getting to the second half of the season here. The team's in first place. So talk about what you saw the past 3 days there at the ballpark now. And is that the empty seat days behind us?
No, I don't think so. I mean,
No.
The Eagles are starting training camp today. I just, when I look at, I think the fans started coming at the Yankee series. If you think back to then, they packed that one. They had a good crowd on the weekend with the Washington Nationals. They go into the break, they come back, and you get the Chase Utley thing going on. And look, you're going to pack them in because it's Chase. And
sure.
Whether it was contrived or not, it was a good thing that the fans they had the knowledge that he was going to come in for the last, possibly the last time.
Right, possibly.
And, you just hope that they saw a good product on the field, which I said it was very important for the Phillies to win 2 out of 3 in that series, just to show the fan base that, yeah, we're back. We do have a baseball team here, and we're playing well. And I think they proved that. They stood toe-to-toe with the Dodgers, and I think that is a really positive influence on a fan base. And whether they were to say Chase Utley or not, they have to stay and watch some baseball.
Absolutely. Really nice series there to see him take 2 of 3. So they've yet to make a big splash in the trade market. They lost out on Machado, which say what you want about that. But then there's 2 other guys that the Phillies were rumored to go after, Britton from the Orioles and then Happ, both going to the Yankees now. So there's some rumors of the outfielder Adam Jones. If you were Klentak right now, I mean, what are you making of this? And is there any moves that they have to make now that those guys are out of the picture?
I think before the deadline, one way or the other, you have to strengthen your bench.
Right.
I mean, you go back a couple of days. You had Mitch Walding on your bench, Trevor Plouffe. I know he hit a home run against a position player, and you had your catcher. That was it.
Right.
That was your bench. They're carrying 8 guys in their bullpen. Why? I understand that, you look down below and there's not a lot that you have going for you from AAA right now, but
yeah,
man, you could do better than those guys. I know they can. Mitch Walding's 0 for 13? I know he got sent down. I get it, but he was here doing the bench work. You can't have this.
Yeah. So
you need somebody who could step in. But that being said, that doesn't mean you can't go out and get the guy like Escobar from the Twins and put him in at shortstop and have Kingery be your bench guy.
Right.
Because that can happen. And you're starting to get some guys banged up. I mean, we had Cesar Hernandez. His shoulder was banged up. His foot was banged up. You had Alfaro get his butt whooped behind the plate the other night, getting foul balls off his hand. Things like that. And, I mean, you just got to be a little more careful if you're Gabe Kapler, like you used Knapp, I guess, in the 5th inning the other day without any other catchers.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Ricky, I want your thoughts on this quote-unquote home run derby curse because Hoskins is looking absolutely brilliant. I mean, what is it, 4 home runs in the last 6 or the last 5? The guy's absolutely brilliant up at the plate as of late. So talk about what you've seen from your standpoint with Hoskins and what do you think we can expect from him the rest of the way?
Well, let's start with the home run derby because the one thing I saw in that home run derby, and I do watch for this because even when I played, I would watch for the guys that were overswinging. He wasn't overswinging. He's no dummy. He knows that with his regular swing, he can hit the ball out of the ballpark, and he wasn't trying to go 500 feet. When you see a lot of guys out there trying to go 500 feet, what does that do? Automatically switches your swing.
Sure.
It has to. But that being said, I think Rhys just took it like it was extra batting practice he was getting. And I think it actually worked in a positive way for him. He comes back now, and he's hitting the ball hard to right center field, if you haven't noticed, which somebody must have gotten in his ear, hey, because of all those swings, if you were overswinging, the one thing you want to do, try to hit the ball back up the middle, right? That's what he's been doing. But if you're missing on the inner half, where's the ball going out? Left field.
Yep.
He's just waiting for the ball to come to him. He is a very simple fix to me when he goes into a slump. And I think he's actually proved that in his short time in the big leagues because when he goes into a slump, If you notice, it's just very simple that he's pulling off the baseball and he's trying to yank the baseball. So his mindset should be when he starts seeing himself following balls over the third base dugout, man, hit a ball to right center field. That'll cure everything.
Ricky Bottalico is with us, NBC Sports Philadelphia analyst, pre and post for Phillies coverage. And if it's extra innings, that's when you really want to tune in. Hey, Ricky, Ryan was asking about guys that could maybe solve their bench problems. How about like a guy like Will Ramos, because he could solve the hitter and the catcher problem. Two birds with one stone.
I wouldn't mind it, but what are you going to do? Here's the problem with that. I don't think that's a bad idea, but he doesn't fix any other positions. He fixes a catcher, but I think the Phillies are really still kind of in on Knapp, and they're in on Alfaro. I mean, I think they like Knapp's bat and they like Alfaro's arm. And I guess what they're hoping is at some point they help each other put it all together. And I know Wilson Ramos could catch, and I think that's what you're talking about is a defensive guy that could really kind of stand up for the pitching staff. But I don't know. I just don't see him going in that direction. I really believe that first and foremost, you'd like a number 3 starter. Well, they're all starting to go by the wayside.
That's right. Today.
Yeah, and it looks like Cole Hamels may be going today. So, I mean, time's running out, and nothing's been done. And I think the worst possible thing, by the way, is if he does nothing. If Clintack does nothing, I think this fan base will be up in arms.
Don't give him.
I really do.
Don't give him one more reason not to go. Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Well, I mean, I love how people say, "Well, they're on the right path." Yeah, okay, they're on the right path. Does that guarantee they're going to be on the same path next year? No, it doesn't. I'm sorry, but it doesn't. You could say I know what the years they built the team with Utley, Howard, and Rollins. But don't forget, they had Utley, Howard, and Rollins. I mean, it's not about 9 or the 8 starting players. It's about 3 or 4 core players is what it's really about. And you have to think, do they have the 3 or 4 core players? I know they have one in Rhys Hoskins. I know they have a possible in Odubel, but he's been known to shut it down, on and off during the season. So I don't call him a necessarily core. And I don't think anybody does. I mean, people will say, yeah, he's a big part of the team, yes. But is he the core? Because the core means you're going to be there for 5 or 6 years. They don't have that yet. And if you have an opportunity to go to the playoffs, you make the most of it any year. I think we learned that with Steven Strasburg back in the day when the Nationals could have gone to the World Series and probably win it that year.
5 days still till the trade deadline.
Have you ever thought about that? About the Strasburg thing and how things could have been different if he would have pitched that one year for that franchise?
Could have changed the whole organization. The woulda coulda game is always a fun one to play. Ricky Bottalico, he's with us here on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. How about the guy tonight? I've seen this stat go by 5 times on ESPN. First lefty starter in 276 games. The Phillies are finally starting a left-hander, and it's the rookie, Ranger Suarez.
Ranger Suarez coming up from Triple. He's been monstrous in AAA, but I mean that doesn't make you great in the big league. So, I mean, the one thing that we're going to see at the small ballpark in Cincinnati, by the way, don't forget that. Keep that in the back of your head because that is a wiffle ball field, especially if it's hot and humid. Which I haven't looked at the weather, but I'm assuming
it's hot and humid here. You'd imagine it's hot and humid in Ohio.
Yeah, you would think so on the river. But I mean, the one thing that he's got to do is get by the jitters early on, if he has any. Most guys do. Most guys are a little bit nervous in their first start. So what he's got to do is just go out there and try to visualize a AAA game. He will give up his hits, but he's one of those guys that can make up for it. I think he's 5-1 strikeouts to walk, so that's a good thing. You'll see a low to mid 90s fastball. There's a lot of good stuff that he shows. Highly coveted player too from other teams. So that says that it's just not the Phillies that look at this guy and say he's a good ball player.
That's a 7:10 start time. Is it still a great American ballpark, I believe, in Cincinnati? You can watch.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah,
they change the parks names every 5
right,
minutes.
the darn corporate sponsorship. Hey, Ricky, you and Michael Barkham, Michael B tonight?
It is myself and the beatbox. Yeah, Michael B.
Ricky Beatbox. Yes, looking forward to watching you on NBC Sports Philadelphia. And as always, we love having you here on the show. Thank you so much for making some time. Do you have a favorite Eagle before we let you go? We're giving away tickets. Not that we're going to give them to you, but I'd like to hear if you have a favorite Eagle of all time.
Of all time?
Yeah. And why?
Let's go with Jaws, just because I know him personally.
Jaws would be a good
Can
one.
I do that?
Absolutely, you can go with that.
Well, I was a Buccaneers fan, right? So I'll go with Donovan McNabb.
Back when Doug Williams used to throw the ball straight up into the air to avoid a sack, is that the years that you were a Buccaneers fan?
I've been through worse. How's that?
Like right now.
I've also been through pretty good. If you remember Rondé Barber, guys.
Nah, can't recall.
Nope. Yeah, we do remember that.
Can't recall, man. Sorry.
Rick,
all right, guys.
Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Ricky Bottalico. We'll talk to you soon, bud.